My name is Ghoussoub. I'm from Lebanon. I'm currently based in Cyprus. I've been based in Cyprus for a while. After founding in 2017 a tour operator that focuses on experiential tourism in Lebanon called Show Me Lebanon. Now we are in the process of growing our brand in different countries. Cyprus is now one of them. And we're working on a global brand called Show Me Journeys that embodies the values and the way of being of our brand. That this company as well is based in Cyprus, and from Cyprus we are trying to grow it to different destinations. I'm very happy to be with you today in this session and together to share experiences and learn more. Before we start, let's have a small discussion. Have you noticed recently that the traveler needs and wants are shifting? Those of you who are involved in the tourism field, who are in contact with travelers, whether in Cyprus or in other countries, are you noticing how the trends in tourism and the interest and the demands of travelers are changing? Maybe Marius, maybe you can, since you've been in the tourism field in Larnaca for 30 years, maybe you can share some input on this.
Yes, definitely it's changing, and we see this happening for the last how many years, especially after the pandemic. Obviously, people are looking for more experiential experiences in each destination. And here we are in Cyprus, there is a long discussion and sometimes even argument on what are the next steps the industry in Cyprus should take, and obviously all of us to follow. Saying this though, certainly the most important part is on the private sector, because the state will do whatever they will do, and it will take them obviously some time. They're not moving fast enough. So it's up to the private sector to develop this. Unfortunately, the private sector, each of us is developing individually these practices or the plans that we have. And it cannot be more, as I said, because the state cannot follow us on that. We are moving much more faster as we have to do this as a private entities. We cannot wait for the state. Fortunately, not even the Deputy Ministry of Tourism in Cyprus, they are not in a position to follow that that fast. And yeah, we're struggling individually to develop this at this moment.
Definitely for new trends in tourism or new practices such as experiential tourism and all the other activities where travelers are looking to be more engaged, to be more participating in the experiences and all. Definitely a very good practice would be for businesses, for people in the private sector to come together, to brainstorm together, to develop things together, to take Cyprus and other destinations as well in that direction.
This is true.
Yeah, definitely. So maybe out of this session today, while sharing different experiences from people on the ground, people in the academic sector and all, maybe we can come up with a few ideas that different entities can be working on. Maybe we can come up with some ways to collaborate as well. Hopefully this will be a platform to lead to some more cooperation.
By all means.
Yes. That's great, Marius. Thank you for this great input. So during this session, we're gonna be dividing it into 3 sections. In the first part, we are gonna define what experiential tourism is. Some of us are very familiar with it, and some of us, this is all what they're doing. And others among us are not very familiar with these kind of practices yet. So it will be nice to define them and get to know more about them and all. The second part will be about designing authentic experiences. Once we understood what is the experiential tourism, how do we design the authentic experiences? How do we package them and all? And the third part that is very important, and we have some people among us who will be able to give very valuable input on this as well, are the digital tools, the use of digital tools to enhance the user experience and so on. So we're going to start with defining experiential tourism. Let's hear from you. What is experiential tourism? Maybe we can hear 2-3 people give us a few keywords describing experiential tourism. Based on your knowledge, on your practice.
I would go with authenticity
Authenticity.
and like connecting deeply with the culture for destinations that you're visiting.
Deep connection. Okay, other input?
I will go with local, encouraging local businesses, go to places that are unknown, to discover new places, to really go to the locals.
Okay.
Yeah, like hidden gems.
Live the locals. Live like the locals.
See things from the eyes of a local, live like a local, immerse in the traditions of a place. Emile?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I would say providing experiences to travelers more than just providing them with specific tours and mass tour itineraries. So focusing on the experiences, providing the experiences to travelers, focusing on smaller groups more than bigger groups.
Lovely. Yanna?
The most important thing with experiential tourism is to understand that the participants are actively engaging in the experiences.
Actively
and not just
engaged.
observing.
Okay, that's great. That's a great point. Anything other to add? Anything else to add? Any other points? I think we're good. To give a very, very brief and summarized description, experiential tourism focuses on engaging visitors emotionally and making them participants. So in traditional practices of tourism, maybe we were more focused on sightseeing, and travelers at some point, they were feeling more like bystanders. They are seeing, they are visiting, they are seeing, but they're not engaging in the experiences. So the briefest definition, and actually it summarizes everything that all of you shared, it's engaging the visitors emotionally and making them participants. You know this quote that says, people will not remember what you said, but they will remember how you made them feel. So a feeling that people live is hard to forget. This is why, this is the importance of the emotional aspect and the experiential tourism. Because people leave, whether you're a service provider and they're visiting you, or an experience provider, or a hotel, or a place of accommodation, or a tour operator, or a destination, they would leave with feelings that would remind them of the experience they had. So experiential tourism is, and I think all of these elements were mentioned as well, interactive, the travelers are participating, emotional, it's supposed to evoke a range of emotions, it's memorable, so guests would remember experiences they had after they went home. So it should be memorable, and of course it should be authentic. So it should relate to the roots of the local culture, the real the traditions of the country and all. Key elements in experiential tourism. So these 4 key elements are very important. Participation. So the travelers, again, instead of being on the side watching, they are doing hands-on activities. So they are participating in a cooking class. They are participating in a farm harvesting. When it's the season in Cyprus, for example, very soon it will be the rose season in Agros. So farm harvesting is part of experiential tourism activities. Participating, engaging in a crafts workshop. So this is number one. Number two is personalization. No guest is similar to the other. Every person has every person is excited to experience things in a different way. So it's very important to personalize the experiences for different guests we get. Storytelling, and in one part of the presentation, we're gonna go through some advices and some important aspects of storytelling to enhance it. So it's very important to share the story behind the place, because every location, every place, every person has an interesting story to tell. And people tend to remember stories more than they remember facts. So storytelling is very important. And sustainability, ensuring experiences are eco-friendly and support local communities. The sustainability is a very important aspect in experiential tourism, especially with people being more cautious about their impact and not harming the destinations that they are visiting. In experiential tourism, it doesn't have to be complicated or expensive. It can be just simple adjustments, and they can do big impact. So in hotels, or when we are receiving people who are coming for a tour, it can be a personalized greeting or a gift bag that is given upon arrival that holds a special meaning and a special story that can mark the guests who might be staying at our accommodation, for example. So remember, simple adjustments, they can make big impact. Not every time there is the need, or not every time we will go and create from scratch experiential tourism activities and all. Small adjustments, they can lead to a big impact in many places. And now for the modern travelers, even if we are not the biggest in our field, even if we are a small family-run guest house or agrotourism or a small boutique hotel, we cannot compete with the biggest hotels in the area. But nowadays, it's not about being the biggest anymore. It's about being the most memorable. So experiential tourism is about a lot of feelings and emotions. Now, benefits of the experiential tourism, those of you who are in the field are definitely experiencing them. And those of you who are about to be more in the field, it's good to know them. So when we create deeper emotional connections with the guests, we will have guests who will want to come back. So we will have repeated visits. By word of mouth, they will market for our entity. So they will be sending more business our way. And themselves as well, they might consider to come back in the future. So this is very important, and deeper emotional connection with guests. Standing out from the competition, as we said, it's not about being the biggest, it's about being the most memorable. So if we can create memorable experiences and memorable moments, we will make sure to stand out from the competition very easily, and increased revenues opportunities. And I'm going to give an example here. Let's say a hotel, for example, introduced a halloumi making workshop. Okay, now I gave the simplest example in Cyprus. But let's say it was as simple as this. Okay, they are increasing their revenues opportunity, or they introduced in their village a storytelling walk with the villager to get to know more about the traditions of their village. Other than engaging more with the culture and the community, they are increasing their revenue opportunities, because they're not just, their income is not anymore limited to the accommodation services they're selling. They are selling as well experiences or food making workshops that are bringing them additional revenues. So actually, this is an example I wrote, so we can it can be clearer. So let's imagine a boutique hotel in Larnaca. They introduce a separate cooking class led by a local home cook, and they would be teaching people to cook like very traditional dishes that everyone eats in Cyprus, like kolokasi, louvi, stifado, purguri, and so on. At the end of the workshops, the guests, they sit down, they enjoy the meal together, and they receive a recipe booklet to take home about the traditional home cooking of Cyprus. So by introducing this activity, the hotel increased the revenue, and as well, they gave the opportunity for the guests to connect with the culture through the rich culinary traditions of Cyprus. So, there are so many ideas and so many examples that we could implement that could easily take us in a direction of having more experiential activities and differentiating ourselves by doing so. So, reaching the end of this chapter, before we go through our key takeaway that are very simple and very straight to the point, anyone would like to share any personal experiences about some example or any personal experiences you had regarding to the points that were discussed?
Hello again. Well, we are in Lebanon, and also we have very good food experiences. Food rich. We are very rich in culinary taste, and we sometimes do as a tour operator with Tour Lab. We go, for example, to Tripoli, and Tripoli is very known for all her artisanal work. So we can participate in a workshop in soap, for example, in old making soap. And the tourism, they like a lot this activity. And it's a sort of circular economy, because also the city of Tripoli is beneficial.
Definitely. The craftsmen and Tripoli, they are benefiting from this.
And they go, and they all often buy from this shop, because we did the workshop there. They will buy whatever they did. They have gifts, and ils sont encouragés pour acheter. And so,
Yes.
so this is very good for the city.
They are encouraged to buy, to support and buy. Thank you,
Exactly.
Thank you, Nadim, for sharing this example. This is a great example, actually. We shared an example before about the accommodation. Now this is an example for tour operators. Thank you, Nadim, for sharing. So the key takeaways from this section of our session are, very simply, experiential tourism is about creating meaningful and emotional connections. When we manage to create these connections, everything else will be easier. Now, our goal as tour operators, as accommodation providers, as founders of different startups and social enterprises in this field, as travel advisors and so on, is to engage visitors emotionally and make them participants in the experience. As the example that Nadine mentioned, this is all what is needed from our side to be offering and developing experiential tourism activities. Now we're going to proceed and go to our second section, which is designing authentic experiences. This will be your part, your time now to share again. Nadine, I know that you're going to have a lot of examples, but I will keep you now till the end so we can hear as well from other people, because I think if you're going to start giving examples, there will be many. So let's give examples from the practices we do in our businesses or we witness with the partners we work with. What are practical examples of authentic experiences? Nadine mentioned one, that is the soap making, workshop of soap making with a soap craftsman. What are other examples of authentic experiences? Let's see, let's brainstorm together. Yes, Effie, go ahead.
Hi, I just wanted to share an experience from two phases. Basically, our the Deputy Ministry of Tourism has started a program the last 3, maybe even 4 years, where basically they are offering micro projects to individual entrepreneurs, in offering these unique experiences. And as a very active person, I have seen how this has revolutionized and changed the life of many people living in remote villages or in areas that were not destinies for tourism. They're opening their houses, they're opening their workshops, and it's very beautiful. And for instance, in my hometown, my village, Kalabanayodis, there are at least 3 people that have been energized through this project. So it's also an experience that we as tourist providers can offer, but there is also another experience that we are offering, that we are explaining to our members of the group that we are sending, that we are also helping women that is very difficult for them to go back into working through traditional way of life that they had after raising their children, and possibly even undertaking helping their families with grandchildren, that it's a very beautiful way of helping out as tourists in bringing this microeconomy flourishing again. And they are showing us something traditional that they are doing. It might be food, it might be basket weaving, it might be pottery. So I think it's very important to show this aspect, because people want to see that they are actually offering a social impact as well, and not just something that they are winning and gaining. It's not just a financial interaction. Thank you.
Thank you, Effie. These examples are beautiful. And I'm so, every time I go on the website Heartland of Legends, and so I'm so impressed by the efforts being done and all the workshops that are being offered. I attended many of them, and I met many of the lovely people, the lovely craftsmen. It's a great way to help villages and people in rural areas sustain their crafts, because we are losing everywhere in this part of the world and in other parts of the world. We are losing all the crafts, all the know-how and all. It's a great way through tourism and through visiting them and all to support them to continue to have an additional income, to revive some of the traditions. And in Cyprus, there are so many villages that are unfortunately, sometimes you feel that there are not so many people living there anymore. You go midweek and the villages are empty. So this is a great way to support people living there, or potentially in the future, when it will advance a bit more, to have some of the people who are living in the cities going back to the villages and having small businesses and small enterprises there. So yeah, it's definitely a great way to revive the villages. Eleni?
I think an important thing, especially in the rural tourism business, is collaborations between like different organizations and other local businesses. So last November, we collaborated with a film club and a private chef, and we created a Cyprus night event where we ate local food by a private chef, and then we watched 4 short Cypriot films by Cypriot filmmakers, and we had some local wine, and it was a very interesting experience, and it was mostly people that recently relocated in Cyprus from other countries. So it was a very interesting way for them to get to know contemporary Cypriot culture in a Cypriot village.
Very nice. Thank you, Eleni, for sharing this. Are you at your family's guest house? You said you have, right?
Yes.
Are you introducing some authentic experiences for people to do during their stay, or not yet?
Not yet. We're trying to do that slowly this year.
That's awesome. All the best with that. Yeah, I think it will bring a great added value. And thank you for the example you have shared. It has impact on so many levels. Elena, can you please go ahead?
Thank you very much. I could share with you the plans that the museum is building, I could say, because at the moment we are actually building physically a workshop for visitors, Cypriots and tourists, of course. And we want to get them engaged in actual printmaking. There are many, many forms of printmaking. And the kinds of printmaking are very fast to do, very enjoyable. And there could be all kinds of programs that will be from artist programs to just on-location visitors, or visitors who can apply to participate in short-term workshops, for example, lino cuts or fabric, or make their own cards, or come with friends. And we want to do that so that they can understand a lot more of the Cyprus culture, because the founder of the museum, Hambis Tsangaris, probably a lot of you know him. His work was based on the local folklore, Cyprus folklore, and through the printmaking process, we hope that people will learn about Cyprus culture and enjoy something more modern in the process, understand how it's made. It's printmaking is a form of art that is not used in the way it used to be in the past. And also, because we are located in the old city of Nicosia, we hope to revive the area as well, to help revive the area. Because if we have more tourists coming and more locals, we realize that in the area, for example, there isn't one single coffee shop for people to go around and sit around and enjoy their time. And from the tourists that we have there at the moment, I would say 75% of them ask us, where can I have a coffee? Where can I go around here? Is there a place I can have lunch? So maybe this will help develop the area further by attracting more people and learning more about printmaking. So this is one of our goals, that we can do that, plus by participating in the Futurism project. And we are more self-sustained, and we can attract more more people that are very, very sensitive towards sustainability. So it's a combination of a lot of different things that the museum is doing, and it wants to do, wishes to do. So I hope we can manage to do that. Thanks.
Thank you, Elena. I think many of us who are present here are very interested by what you are developing at the museum, and hopefully many of us as well will be collaborating in the future. And definitely there is a lot of experiential work, a lot of authentic experiences that can be taking place in Nicosia to have more meaningful, let's say, and more immersive activities. And thank you for sharing what you shared with us. It's beautiful that you're working on this. Now, you have shared beautiful examples. So let's go back to the basics as well. What makes an experience authentic? It's very simply, this is the simplest way as well of putting it. Authenticity is about providing experiences that feel real and rooted in local culture. So we don't need to put so much effort to make it feel sophisticated or anything. Just an experience that feels real and shows that it's rooted in the local culture and our traditions and how we do things. This is the authenticity that people enjoy, and people will be happy to join these kind of experiences. So authentic experiences, they focus on local culture, on engagement, on storytelling, and on sustainability, or they align with sustainability practices. Especially when we offer eco-friendly activities and we partner with local businesses, like the example in Kalopanayotis that was given, and supporting the small local producers and the women in the villages and all. So this definitely falls under sustainability. Now, let's say now we want to start developing an authentic product, an authentic experience. As a start, the first point is identifying our unique selling points. So whether we're a tour operator who is trying to develop an experience on a Cyprus level or on a Lebanon level, we want to identify the unique selling points of the country. Or maybe we are a guest house in a village, so we want to identify the unique selling points of our village and our community. Or we want to identify the unique selling points of or we want to identify the unique selling points of the area that we are in, we need to identify the unique selling points. So, as a start, we should highlight the unique aspects of our location. What is it historically special that we have, culturally speaking, nature-wise, food-wise? So we should focus on what is making our destination different from others. Okay, because if the same experience is provided in so many places, how are we highlighting a unique aspect? So it's very important to identify the unique selling points of our destination or our area. And as well, as part of identifying these unique selling points, it doesn't have to only be history or culture or nature or food. In Cyprus, we have plenty of these, the local traditions, including local festivals. Now this weekend was already very rich in local traditions and in festivals. So these kind of festivals can be integrated in authentic experiences that we are developing. To design authentic experiences, number one, it's very good to collaborate with local artisans and farmers. It doesn't only add authenticity, but it also supports the local economy, as it was mentioned. Incorporating music, dance, and arts. For our tour operator, we had sometimes people coming to us and telling us that, can we please include music-related and dance-related activities in our program? So it's very nice and authentic experiences to involve and engage all the senses. This is why the music part, the dancing part, of course, based on the interest of the people, the arts, is as well an important aspect of the authentic experiences. And highlighting nature and local history. So we offer experiences based on the environment of a place. Now, the collaboration with local communities, we're not going to stop a lot on it because I think it was covered in different examples that were given. But some examples of this collaboration, we can partner with local chefs for cooking classes. We can work with artisans for craft workshops, just like the soap making workshop, or pottery making workshop, or basket weaving making workshop. And we can involve local guides for cultural of nature tours when we're in a village and we want to know more about the local stories and all. So the more we succeed in engaging the local community in our services and our experiences, the more the experiences will be authentic. And the more we will be supporting sustainable tourism practices as well. Now, we have identified few authentic experiences. We thought of different things that we want to implement. We have few ideas. We have identified maybe 5 different authentic experiences that we want to develop as our products. How do we package them? So there are 2 things that are very important to take into consideration. Number 1 is creating immersive themed packages. So we might have a guest who is coming, let's say, to only have, having in mind that they only want to have a 2 hours nature walk in a certain village. But if we have packaged our experience in a way to include different things, to include a lunch at a local lady in a village, to include in the afternoon maybe a visit with a shepherd, a walk in nature with a shepherd, and so on. If we packaged it in a way, that person might be coming for a 2 hours experience and might end up having a full day or a weekend experience. So it's very important to package these experiences, not to leave them a bit random and waiting for the interest of the people who will come to customize and all. It's very important to have packaged experiences as well. Another important point, the other very important point is in packaging, and I think this is going to be important for all of us in this call, is creating different options. So some people maybe, they don't want to go very immersive in their experience, but some others want to. So it would be a good idea to, and this is now an example of a wine and history experience in Omodus or in the wine areas around Omodus. So we can have, as the same winery, as the same experiences that we are developing, we can give 3 options. So the standard tour would be the guest would come and enjoy a vineyard walk and some basic wine tasting. And they get to know a bit about the popular wine varieties of Cyprus, the Commandaria, and so on. Okay, so this is option 1. And this is the option I think that is present in most of the wineries we might visit or similar places. A second option can be a heritage package. So we include more. We include a private tasting in the historic cellar, sampling rare vintages. We focus on, we let them know about the vineyard's multi-generation history. They receive a complimentary gift, a wine bottle in this case. And there is an even deeper and more immersive experience that is, we add a dinner in the vineyard's main house with specialty house wines and stories. And here they are meeting the vineyard's owner. So they are getting the stories from the family itself. And they will get as well a custom labeled bottle and all. Of course, these are different level of immersion and different budgets, and they are for different people. But it's very good in our packaging for the authentic experiences to have, for example, 3 options and let the people choose. And based on what they require and what they like, they will have the options. Because if we only had the standard tour, let's say, Eleni, you're going to start offering experiences, culinary experiences. And let's say you provided only halloumi making workshop. And you didn't go the extra mile, for example, to provide the home cooking dishes that would take more energy, more time and all. People will come and they will take the only option that is available. Although they would have been maybe interested in having a deeper understanding of the culinary aspect of Cyprus, but because this option was not presented to them, they just missed it. And maybe budget-wise, they wouldn't have had a problem to pay more to get a more immersive experience, but we didn't give them the option. So when it comes to packaging these authentic experiences that we are creating, it's very important to create immersive themed packages and to provide different options. Any input on this topic before we go to the storytelling part? Anyone has any experience in packages?
If I may say, Hella, we are running for the last 2 years a program which we call it a culinary experience in Cyprus, which this involved the Women Association of Rural Larnaca. We have a number of villages that they are expertise on certain topics. Just to give some highlights, for example, we take the people to the plantations in the morning to collect themselves vegetables and fruits, and then they're moving into one of the villages which, depending on the number of the people they are, we have enough number of women that they will help them cook together the lunch, which will be accompanied with a number of different wines depending on the menu that they will cook. Then they're moving for dessert. We are taking them to a village where they will have different type of honey, and they will also visit the beehives and the honey producers in the area. Or if it's in the season of the harvest, grapes harvest, we call it get your hands dirty, because we take the people to the vineyards and they do harvest. While they are there, they have some local snacks in the vineyards, ending up at the winery where they will have lunch again with different kind of wines. Certainly, it's a program that goes like this for a week, but it can be for a day activity or as many as 7 days program.
Very nice. Thank you, Marius, for sharing this. It's a beautiful example of everything that we are discussing. And it's beautiful to know that these experiences are in practice already. You are putting them in practice for years already. Thank you for sharing this. It was a beautiful example. Now, to finalize our second section of this session, the power of storytelling. So storytelling, as all of us know, is a very, very, very important aspect in what we do. Because people forget the facts. It's easy to forget facts. If someone has a bad memory like me, I have, I think, the worst memory ever. It's very easy to forget the facts when we leave a site or a destination or a village. But the stories, they stick, especially when they are emotional, when they reminded us of something. Stories are memorable. So this is why it's very important for all of us to master the storytelling aspect in our organizations, in our SMEs, so we could be making it more enjoyable to the guests, and at the same time telling better the stories of the destinations that we are representing. So storytelling is very important. Some techniques to enrich our stories. I think these would be good to write, to note them down. They're very specific technical examples. So number one, we should use a descriptive language to help people picture what we are describing. So instead of saying, for example, this is an old building, we can say, this building has stood through centuries of change, from the glow of candlelight to the times of electricity. You know, like we can make it more descriptive, more poetic and all, for people to be enjoying the story. Number two, to build suspense and curiosity. So sometimes we tend to be, if we're accompanying traveler or meeting them, we tend to be very excited and tell them everything at once. We should not give away everything at once, because a little mystery goes a long way, and people enjoy being teased a bit and waiting for the next thing they're gonna know, or just wait until you see what is behind this door. These are very good practices while we are training or practicing storytelling. A very important aspect as well is to add a personal and local perspective. So for those of us who might be involved on the ground, might be accompanying travelers, or might be involved in training their team, the guests love feeling like they're seeing a place through our eyes as locals in our location. So it's very nice to tell them, I remember growing up and seeing how this village changed, or seeing the different seasons, or coming with my family during summer to this village where we had a family house and we had specific memories. People enjoy these stories so much, and they connect better through us and through our stories with the destination. So it's very important to add a personal and local perspective. And it's very important as well to encourage guest interaction. So if they are here just listening all the time, they're as if we're giving them a lecture. At some point, they're going to get bored. At some point, they will not focus and all. But the better way of doing this is to get them engaged, get them giving an opinion, asking them something, asking them if they have tried a similar food before, asking them if they have heard a similar legend before, if we're telling them about a legend, let's say in Cyprus. So it's very important to have the guest interacting with us. Do you agree with this? Right? If you're just listening, it's boring.
Yes.
All of us.
Yes, very true. They like to be questioned. They like to interact with us. We can. It makes the story better.
Yes, yes, definitely. And the input of the people always adds like a special touch as well. I had once a walking tour in Nicosia, a buffer zone walking tour. with a lovely walking tour guide. And I remember that throughout the tour somewhere, and you know, I had this tour more than a year ago, and I will never forget this. Throughout the tour somewhere, we arrived to a church that was related somehow to a community in Lebanon. And I happened to be from that community. And she asked me to share, if I would like to share a bit about this community. She didn't know the things I shared, and the people who were participating didn't know. And I felt so happy and proud being able to contribute in the tour. And the people loved it, and they were very thankful for me sharing this with them and all. And I still remember it a year after that because I had an input on that tour. And I think for the travelers we are hosting in our tours or in our accommodation or throughout our services or experiences, it's the same for them. If they are interacting and engaged, they will not forget it. So now sharing a tip for all of our organizations, all of our companies, all of those who are tour leaders now among us or guides, to have a story or two on hand to get them prepared ahead of time about the culture, the traditions, to add a certain a personal touch. So this way, the guests that they will feel that they are getting an inside scoop. Once I was at a storytelling session with a great trainer, and the coach gave us great advice to prepare, in general, 1-minute stories about our career, our life. It was not only related to tourism, it was related to everything. But this is a very good advice, actually, for us and for our teams to prepare 1-minute stories that are very fun, and people will be hooked to them and they want to listen, they want to know more. And they just give a special touch and a more personalized touch to the experience that we are delivering. Marius, do you have by any chance any with your company and the experiential tourism practices that you have been practicing, any special input on storytelling maybe throughout the practices you've been doing?
Yes, we do, but this is with certain guides that we are collaborating for many years, that they are doing it. But definitely it's something that we are working on it of developing for each one of us in the office. We said that by the end of the year, we should come up with many other stories individually, because hearing from guides, okay, there are a number of guides which are really good and they can travel you with their stories. But certainly it's different when it comes from even the accounting clerk, let's say, from the office, if he has something to say. Yeah.
Thank you. It's nice to know as well that you are keeping this as a focus. Yeah, storytelling is very important.
It's, you know, I was really amazed a few years ago when I went first time in Malta, even though it was a business trip. And I was so much amazed on, I mean, Malta, without offense, I mean, it has many things, many interesting things, but Malta is selling their stories mostly. I mean, if you're asking me, my personal opinion is that Malta is selling stories rather than an actual product, without meaning that is not a nice place or they don't have places to visit, etc. But exactly because of the places that they have, the old cities and the medieval walls, etc., they're selling stories. And I was so amazed with how many stories I heard the 3 days I spent in Malta. And I said, wow, come on. I mean, in Cyprus, we can say 1,000 stories.
Indeed.
Yeah. And yeah, it's something that we all need to really develop much more, the storytelling, because nowadays I fully agree with you. Even I would underline, in my perspective, it's the number one selling tool at this moment.
That's true. That's true. Definitely. Storytelling during the experience itself,
Yeah,
it gives
yeah, yeah.
so much
Yeah.
value to the experience. But even before the experience, the way we do it through social media or in the description of the product that we are sending, storytelling is very important in all the
Absolutely,
phases
and especially
for
because
that.
we are saying this for many years that every stone you pick up in Cyprus there is a story underneath. We need to develop that really, and even if we don't have a story, we should invent one for each and every place, because
Yes, true.
our island allow us to do that. So that's why I said we need to develop that much more.
I think the people in the villages, usually they tend to preserve stories that they have heard from their parents, grandparents, and all. And when we sit and chat with someone in a village, we know a lot of stories, and they can be by nature a very good storyteller.
Yeah, of course. I mean, starting with the Aphrodite. Everybody comes to Cyprus, they know that, okay, the goddess of love emerged from the foam of the sea at a certain location. But at the same time, there are so many other stories about Aphrodite that really, there are beautiful stories that you can create a very beautiful uh, concept by saying this without, I don't mean we stick to that, but I said we start with Aphrodite, which is something more well known for Cyprus, connected with Cyprus. But at the same time, yeah, as you said, on the villages, even in the cities, everywhere you can come up with beautiful stories.
That's true. Yeah, definitely a point to focus more on in Cyprus.
Absolutely. We need to do that very, very urgently.
Yes, Effie, you have an input on this.
It's more of an insight, basically, because we always seem to be. I know we're a small island and we're constantly trying to focus on us as being like the navel of the universe. But I'm wondering if we could actually spend some effort in trying to explain how our interactions with the Eastern Mediterranean and beyond are also giving us a perspective as a people and as an island and as a culture. I mean, our participation in the Silk Road from antiquity until today, how the influence of all the various civilizations that have conquered or coexisted with us during all these centuries has also added to the experience that these people are having now on our island. Why it can be very hospitable to anybody from various backgrounds. I think that that's a beautiful aspect that we could work and indirectly maybe start combating the rampant racism that we are seeing. And unfortunately, it is something that some of our tourists have experienced. And that kind of replication of a bad experience can have extremely negative repercussions on our sector, on our tourism sector. Thank you.
Thank you, Effie, for sharing this insight. Emil, do you want to share something?
I'm actually just listening, but for me, it's like
Sorry,
everything.
I
Yeah.
just saw that you unmuted. I thought you were gonna say something.
Yeah. I wanted to re-emphasize on the storytelling part because Yahala, for example, we have a beautiful example when we go to Byblos in Lebanon, for example, of a guide called Yazid, who made us fall in love with the history of Lebanon and the history of Byblos itself, which is one of the oldest continuously inhabited cities in the world. And it's just because the way he always tells these stories and the way he actually do them with a sense of humor, and how he gives examples of the old civilizations, how they used to act or react or do specific actions during their times, and while explaining about a specific temple or a specific column or a specific citadel or a specific thing, the storytelling part is what made us not only enjoy and memorize some of the stories, but also fall in love with the history and with the stories. So I really believe that this is a very important aspect, and it's good to highlight it during this talk.
Thank you, Emil. Thank you, everyone, for the beautiful input on this topic. So one thing we all agree on, the importance of storytelling in our countries, Cyprus, Lebanon, and people who are present from other countries as well. Regardless the destination, storytelling is a very important aspect. Now, moving to the last part of this session together. And here there are going to be some examples of tools that you can note them down and use them in your businesses, or use similar tools. But hopefully they will be beneficial for activities where you need them. So the use of digital tools matter a lot, especially today with the world going very fast in a very digitalized direction. And specifically in our field, the digital tools, they can create seamless and memorable and sustainable experiences, or contribute in creating that. So this is why they are very important in today's session. And part of the key benefits of the digital tools is boosting the engagement, streamlining the operations, supporting sustainability. So that's why these digital tools are very important. Today, we're going to go through 4 of them. Of course, there are others, but we limited them to these categories. So first of all, social media. This is one that everyone is familiar with. But I believe that maybe not all of us master it, not all of us master storytelling through these platforms. And I think there is a lot of work that can be done there. On Instagram specifically, we can showcase behind the scenes content. So what is happening, we can post stories and show the experiences. We can highlight a bit some of the local producers or craftsmen that we collaborate with. So Instagram can play a major role in that. While Facebook helps in building communities. We can build communities on Facebook. We can create events. And I noticed that in Cyprus, Facebook events are very popular and very used. So Facebook events are very useful as well, and they help us reach bigger audience. And a very beneficial thing of Facebook as well is to gather reviews. So when travelers, they go back, if we want to ask them to review us, one of the platforms, other than TripAdvisor and one of the social media platforms, can be Facebook. So when people look us up, they can see nice reviews about our business. And now, recently, this is the newest one. I personally don't master it, and I'm not familiar with it, but I plan to because it's important. TikTok. TikTok, because of these short videos that are very easy through them to deliver messages and to have sometimes millions of people seeing them, it's an ideal tool for reaching especially younger audience, but not only, because I know that many people who are not just younger audience are on TikTok, and they are doing research on TikTok and planning for their travels on TikTok, looking around and trying to find things. So these 3 platforms out of the social media platforms, I think, are the most important today in our field. And one tip for us when we are hosting guests, to encourage them to create content and post it and tag us, or use a hashtag that we decide on, because user-generated content is very nice. It promotes us indirectly without us putting the effort to create content and all. We are having the travelers creating beautiful content, showcasing their experiences and promoting us indirectly online through their photos, their stories, and so on. Now, the second tool that we're going to discuss, and probably most of us are still not using it, but it is the future, it's about virtual and augmented reality. So there are some experiences that are starting to exist in Cyprus. I got to know recently that in Fikardu village, there is a 3D virtual tour showcasing the village and some aspects of the village. We could take it one step further as well. We could, in some places like Fikardu, develop maybe experiences where we show how life, when we put the VR on, where we show how life was in previous times. So we are seeing the space, we are in the village, but we can see villagers or people passing around us, or working on, I don't know, doing the bread or cooking. So there are a lot of opportunities in this aspect. And what it helps us in general are two key points: providing immersive previews of destinations, accommodations, and activities. So before people visit, we could give them a preview of the place they would be at, especially in accommodations. It can help a lot. And allowing virtual exploration of historical sites and natural landmarks. These are for guests who are not planning to visit a certain country. They can just do it virtually. They can visit the country virtually. I will ask Bilal. Bilal, are you still here? Bilal is the founder of a startup in virtual and augmented reality in tourism. We got a chance to meet him a few years ago, and he was the first person in Lebanon, I think, working on such a startup. So Bilal, if you can share with us how tour operators and accommodation and experience providers, in your opinion, could benefit or use the virtual and augmented reality based on the tools you know and the experience you have.
Amazing. So basically, there are a couple of things that we need to take into consideration before diving into this topic. So basically, virtual reality and augmented reality are two completely different technologies, and each has a separate use case. If we're speaking virtual reality or creating 3D tours, this is very useful for showcasing or showing the tourists a preview of what they should expect when they go to the actual tour. While if we talk about augmented reality, it's the way to enhance the storytelling on site. So imagine you're going to a certain citadel or like a castle or an historical site, and unfortunately it's somehow destroyed due to several factors. What you can do through augmented reality is you can just open your phone, open your camera, and scan the environment, and you can see an overlay of a 3D reconstructed site of how this castle used to be before. So this will help the tourists and tour guides both in two separate ways. First, as we all know, a photo is 1,000 words, and the video is 1,000 photos. Now imagine you're seeing or you're visualizing a certain attraction on how it used to look before, and you can tie this directly to authenticity or experiential tourism. One example would be what we did in Lebanon in Hassa Fort, is that we created a gamified augmented reality experience where tourists can through their phone and while they are walking through the site, they can, for example, learn how to bake the old way using augmented reality. So they will be able to collect the water, they can light the fire, and they can actually bake using their mobile phone while they are on site. So this is a way to engage tourists in an experiential way on site using digital technology. So it's really important. I think it's the future of tourism. We have some bottlenecks in terms of adoption from the market, but eventually I see that 3-4 years from now, this is going to be the future. Technology will be enhancing the experiential tourism part, enhancing the physical experience, and not going completely virtual. I'm against it, and everyone is against it. Eventually, we all travel to enjoy the physical experience and meet people and discover the culture. So yeah, basically that's it.
Yeah, the first time I've heard of Bilal's startup and similar startups, I was a bit worried that actually this is against what we stand for, and tourism and all. It's about the personal and human interaction, being in a place making memories with a person, connecting to the culture and the country through that person, through that local. And now but after I got to understand better, as Bilal said now, this technology in this aspect to be used is not to erase the human aspect from tourism. On the contrary, it's going to be to enhance experiential tourism and to provide things that we could not provide without technology, like to take it one
100%.
step further.
And it's going to be a way for tour guides or tour operators to unlock an extra revenue stream through selling those type of tours while doing their tours. So, for example, it can be an add-on for their tourist group. And okay, you can purchase this augmented reality tour while we are having this tour. You can visualize how this attraction used to look before, how they used to defend this castle, and so on and so on. So it will be a way to generate extra cash as well from a business perspective.
Yeah, I think in our minds, just like anything with technology and all, at the beginning, we have a bit of resistance and we don't see how it can happen. But then when it happens, it becomes like all the tools we have now, it becomes so normal and so part of our daily life, and we just enjoy it, and it adds a lot of added value.
100%.
Thank you, Bilal. Thank you for sharing this.
Thank you, Hala.
A third tool with the digital tools that we are discussing today is the online booking and itinerary management tools. There are so many of them, hundreds. Here we mentioned the example of Checkfront, of Fair Harbor. There is so many of these tools, and they are very important today because they provide seamless booking process, so it's easier for the guests. The guests as well will receive automated confirmations and reminders, depending on how we have set it up to be. And we will have more bookings and customer satisfaction because the process is easier and people just in a few clicks, they can finalize their booking, they can see their details and all. So in case we are not using such booking management systems in our organizations, in our businesses, these are very important to consider. Now, the choice is a bit hard to do because there are so many of them, but any of them actually is needed. It really makes things easier. And I think this will be the last one, the last tool, the digital welcome guides. I personally have not experienced this before, but I think it's a great thing to have. There are platforms like Hostfully, if you want to note it down, like TouchStay. They allow us to create interactive digital welcome guides. And these guides, they contain all the essential information about the property, about now we're talking about a property, if it's an accommodation, the local maps. Even there is a chat feature for questions if they needed to ask us something. So they're not just rigid guides, they're very interactive, which actually is quite cool for people to receive these guides before arriving and so on. So this way we are reducing paper waste. We're not printing and giving programs and all, and we're making everything accessible to them in one place. They don't need to access many emails and all. So everything is in one place. Eleni, are you with us? Eleni? Okay, I saw that Eleni just joined now. I think she exited and entered again. So I want to make sure that she can note these down. So maybe they will be beneficial. Eleni?
Yes, hi, sorry, my laptop went out of battery.
No worries. Before we move from this slide, we just wanted to make sure that you note these down because they can be beneficial for you. They are digital welcome guides to be sent for people before they come. So there are platforms like this one called Hostfully or TouchStay, where you can integrate everything and send it to them ahead of time. So they will have everything integrated in an interactive one place. Okay. So this is how the digital tools are helping tourism advance. So let's imagine we have a small coastal guest house in Paphos. Okay, by using a VR tour through Matterport, which is another platform, guests can explore the property, beaches, and nearby villages before coming. They are having a look at what they are about to book. Once booked, they received hostfully this welcome guide with personalized itinerary ideas and sustainable travel tips. So this is how the digital approach and our experiential tourism activities can give us an added value in having more customer satisfaction and more eco-friendly practices. And as well, this is additional to everything we have discussed, the digital tools, they can support in our sustainable practices and monitoring our impact, energy and resource management apps, paperless communication, promoting local partnership and responsible tourism, our local partnerships to promote them online, and digital education on sustainability. So the digital tools are not just supporting us business-wise. If we want to enhance our sustainability practices, they are there to support as well. So our key takeaways from this section on digital tools is that these tools can help us enhance our guest engagement and support sustainability. They are essential for modern tourism businesses. And if we are not seeing the need of having them today, maybe in 2 or 3 or 4 years, they're going to definitely become very essential. I think they're going to become one of the main needed things, one of the basics. Things like digital welcome guides and sustainability practices, they are very appealing to eco-conscious travelers. And I think we're all aware that the eco-conscious travelers are growing in the world. More travelers are becoming more eco-conscious, and they are prioritizing sustainability practices. So now, as a next step, we can start integrating these tools into our businesses to create seamless, memorable, and sustainable experiences. I'm gonna, before I stop sharing, because we reached the end of our third chapter, just one final note before we open the floor to any question. So as a summary of everything that we have discussed, experiential tourism is not just a passing trend. I think we all, based on the discussion we had, I think we all acknowledge this. It's not another passing trend. It's a fundamental shift in how people travel. So good luck to all of us implementing these practices, adopting more sustainable practices, developing more experiential tourism activities to be able to cater to the need of the modern travelers.